Good morning, Hero Wars fans. Hero Wars is a really good game, but it seems to me that there are a lot of traps. If you want to win in Guild Wars, you should use the heroes that the top 50 players in the arena are using. On every server, there are heroes that are rarely used by the top 50 players in the arena. Why is that? To put it straight, it's because they know they won't win if they use a hero they don't see at the top of the arena. When you look at the individual heroes alone, there seems to be no significant difference in their apparent fighting power. But when you have a team of 5 heroes, you really can't win when you have a combination of heroes that don't have synergy. If you are an experienced Guild Wars commander, you know that you can win Guild Wars with the non-synergistic team composition when the total power of the heroes is less than 500,000. As I mentioned at the beginning of this article, there are a number of traps in this game, and they start to bite you when your overall power exceeds 500,000. I'm sure many of you are attached to the heroes you've used since the early days of the game. And many players will think of Galahad or Ishmael as the heroes they use in the early days. As I've mentioned in past videos, Ishmael and Galahad's stats are optimized for tower strategy. This is something that Hero Wars management has stated, so it's true. Ishmael and Galahad possess the ability of vampirism, which will help them in towers where they will only fight against lower-ranked opponents. However, from the time the overall power of your team composition exceeds 500,000, your opponent's defenses will increase, and if you include Galahad and Ishmael in your team composition, you will not be able to use them either offensively or defensively. In fact, if you are ranked above 500 in arena ranking, you will hardly see a team with Galahad and Ishmael in it. Considering the fact that you have invested your resources in Ishmael and Galahad since the early days of the game, it would be very difficult for you to make a decision to switch to another hero. On the other hand, as long as you keep using heroes that don't have synergy, you will be outclassed in Guild Wars and arena. I am the attack commander in Guild Wars, and I have no faith in Galahad's team. Galahad always loses to higher-ranked opponents, never wins against opponents of the same overall power, and struggles even against opponents of about 70,000 power or lower. The most annoying thing in Guild Wars is when you lose a heroic match without defeating any of your opponents. If that happens, your opponent's skills will be activated immediately from the next time you attack, and you won't be able to win even against opponents whose combination you would normally win. To sum up the story, if you have a large budget to devote to the game, and you can separate investing resources in Galahad and Ishmael as your own way of enjoying this game, then that's fine. However, if you have a low budget and want to play Hero Wars and be active in Arena and Guild Wars, continuing to invest in Galahad and Ishmael is not a wise choice. There was a guy in my guild who continued to use Galahad until his overall power exceeded 700,000. I can't tell you his name for his honor, but his name is Akira. If only Galahad's glyphs were maxed out, if only his artifacts were maxed out, if only his champion skin were maxed out. I've poured so many resources into Galahad. And I heard that Akira's Galahad is working as the second tank in the Grand Arena. Now, it's time for the video to end. If you think that appearing in ads is Galahad's job, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching the video until the last part. I'll see you in my next video.